Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make the second part of your school. In the first tutorial, I showed you how to make the entire outside of the school. Everything that you can see and have seen on the screen right now will have been covered in part 1. In this part, we'll be delving inside of the school and making the hallways, downstairs and upstairs. We'll be making the assembly room, the cafeteria, the library, teacher's lounge, reception area, principal's office, an English classroom, science classroom, and a computer classroom. However, I just want to point this out right now. If you haven't made the actual school building itself, then we of course can't make the inside. So do make sure that you have your entire outside of the school complete. Feel free to watch part 1 of my Building a School series. Once you have completely made the outside, you can move on to this one. That's your last warning. Please, if you are new around here, do consider subscribing to the channel and click the little bell next to the subscription button to keep up to date with all of these videos, especially if you are making multiple part series. And once you're ready to begin, we can get things started. Now, just before we start building, ladies and gentlemen, here are all of the materials that we are going to be using for this first part. We are first of all going to focus on the inside structure of the school. Hallways, the second floor, the classrooms, the rooms, all of that. You'll need all of the materials that you can see on the screen and the amounts of those materials as well. Once you have gathered all of those, we can get started. The first thing that we have to do once you have gathered all of those materials is walk inside of our school. You'll notice that it is huge and empty, and we're going to fix that. So we have to do quite a few things here, but they are all quite simple. First of all, we have to lay a floor down for the school. The floor is going to be made out of oak planks. It's a warm, neutral material. There are 2 floors to the school. The first floor is going to be set just 1 row off the ground. You can see, as soon as you walk into the school from the outside, it has to be 1 row off the ground, otherwise you'll drop down. Additionally, there is going to be a second floor to the school. Now this is also going to be made out of oak planks, and the positioning is a little bit different. But the position for this works out to be the middle space between the top of the bottom windows and the middle space between the bottom of the top windows. Right there. So you are going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4 block gap between each floor. So as you can see it, this is where 2 floors are going to go. But I also want to accomplish a few more things as well. We have to install walls into our school. So the walls are going to go in a couple of different places. So the wall structure might first of all seem a little bit complicated, but it is actually quite logical and easy. Let me explain. So if you come to the left and right side of the school, we are going to have long hallways. The walls for the hallways are set 1 block away from the left and right sides of the entrance. You of course already know that there is going to be a second floor to the school as well. So these hallways are going to 1 block away from the entrance. They are going to extend and connect all the way over to this point here. This is where the wall starts to extend inwards on the front of the build. And the same can be done on the opposite side. So we'll have walls for the hallways 1 row away from the doors on both sides, and the walls will extend across, and they will naturally connect to the point on the front of the building where they extend inwards a little bit. Now this might be a little hard to see because we don't have very much light in here, but you can kind of see that we have two big right angles. Now, the rooms themselves are also split up quite logically. So if you work from the end here, we're also going to have walls separating the classrooms. Each classroom has two windows, so this one here and this one here, and then in between the middle set of windows you will have a wall like this, right? And you can even mark out every single classroom, like you can stick a white concrete to show some separation. And additionally, there will be a separation between these two windows here and these two windows. So every single classroom gets its own, gets two windows, and that will mean that on the front of the building on the left side and up above, because these walls will continue upwards. That's why I pointed out that there are two floors. Once you've kind of got the fact down that these floors are going to extend up and connect upwards, like this, then you can kind of see how these rooms are going to be put together. And if you stick the white concrete rows in between all of the classrooms, you should find it rather easy to see the separation. So you will obviously also have the walls in between these upper set of rooms as well. And you can now see that that will be a classroom, that will be a classroom, this will be a classroom, this is a hallway. All of this will be easier to see once it has been filled in, but the same can be said for the opposite side as well. So this opposite side here, this is going to be the opposite end of the hallway. We have to create the separations between all of the classrooms on this side as well. I'm just going to chuck a couple of torches down. Here we go. And we have two windows here, and the middle of these two windows is here as well. So we can just chuck a row of terracotta and place white concrete coming upwards. And that will give us in total 1, 2, 3 classrooms on the first floor, and of course that will continue on to the second floor as well, because the actual floor is going to be cutting through here, cutting them right down the middle, and we will of course add in an interior wall. Now all of the classrooms, all of the rooms on the front of the school are single rooms. That's where most of the working classrooms are going to go. When I say working classroom, what I mean by that is all of the the science labs, the English classes, the computer labs, all of those go on the front. All of these are just single rooms. You can see them all put together quite nicely. However, we've got to do a similar thing on the back here. So if on the back you extend the row of terracotta here that we placed earlier, extend the row of terracotta coming across, and you want it to stop in the same place that it does on the front over there, you want to line it up and then connect it to this back wall here. On the back of the building, this particular room on the ground floor level right here is going to be a giant assembly hall. So this room doesn't even have to be split up into different rooms. You will of course have the fact that it's going to have two floors, of course, but we don't have to split this particular room up into multiple rooms. And you could even have an additional assembly hall on the second floor if you wanted to, but we'll get to that later on. So all of that will be filled in on the top and the bottom. It's one big room. We don't have to create the same separations. The same can be said on this opposite side. As you see, once we extend over the terracotta and we extend it as far as the terracotta on the front, which would be here, and we create some walls using some white concrete like this, and we place terracotta coming backwards because we want to distinguish the fact that we've created a hallway, by the way. So if we start from the front of the build and we move towards the center, hallway to the left, hallway to the right, we can escape into the actual back of the school there, and these are all rooms. I mentioned that these two rooms, this big giant room here, these also serve a purpose. So the lower level, this ground floor, is the cafeteria. It's a big room. You don't have to split it up. we're going to utilize the entire room. So there's no need to put any sort of separations between the windows or anything like that. On the second level, it is going to be a library. So there's also no need for separation. If you like, you can separate this opposite side. As I mentioned, the lower half of the build is an assembly hall. This upper half of the build, it can be another sort of assembly hall. It could be like a big mess room. It could be multiple things, you know, just a place to hang out. It could be a common area, or you can separate this into classrooms. I'm going to separate it into classrooms so that we'll be having quite a few, and I'm going to show you some repeatable classrooms that we can make. But that has been, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of planning. And what I want to show you now is how this all goes together, because now it might look a little bit confusing, but if you fill the floors in and you fill the walls in, you'll be able to see how everything quickly turns into rooms. So let's do exactly that. So what might have started off as quite a confusing set of plans has hopefully turned into something that should look like this. As you can see, we have installed about half of the floor. We have a lot of the separating walls between the classrooms, and we have the entire downstairs floor complete, and we have the same for the back as well. Now, I specifically wanted to show you this just in case it was a little bit confusing, but you can see that you simply fill in all in between the walls, you fill in all of the floors, and beyond that we are of course going to fill in these outside walls as well, which are going to then turn into individual closed off rooms, which are going to be classrooms, and we are of course going to fill in the floor that will separate the first and the second. So I'm going to do all of that. I just thought that that might provide a little bit of extra clarity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have just finished installing all of the floors and the walls, and I just want to show you what it should kind of look like as soon as you enter the school, because we're going to work our way from the bottom and up to the top. So once you have finished adding in all of the floors and walls for yourself, as you enter the school, you'll now notice that it is separated into 4 hallways, like this main hall here, that back hall, this left hall, and that right hall. And we have just walls everywhere. We have a second floor we can't see up above us. So once you have reached this point for yourself, the next thing that we have to do is we have to add in some staircases. Now, these staircases are going to center themselves at the back of the school, and we're going to run rows of double quartz stairs, 1 row away from the edge of the classrooms here, looking towards the back of the school. We're just going to set up a few rows of quartz stairs like this until we eventually are able to burst up into the second floor like this, and we can simply just like walk directly up. Just like that. That's perfect. I'm also going to recommend that you add a case around it. So I'm going to use terracotta. This will streamline the entire process. So now people won't be able to go behind the stairs. They won't be able to do any sort of weird stuff like that. And if you just knock out the floor around the stairs like this, then at the top you'll be able to add a little bit of detailing, maybe a little bit of glass pane, something like that. You could even extend it so that you've got a little bit more headroom if you like as well. Maybe you can have the staircase extend across in here, and it'll square things off a little bit too. And not only do we want to have just one staircase, and that looks great, perfect, we want to have another one as well. So just 1 row away from the wall, those are slabs. 1 row away from the wall, we just want to have a double set of quartz stairs, and this is going to be how we will gain entrance to the second story. And the second story is very important because we have a lot of cool things up here, as you guys will know. We want to add a case around it, and the staircase itself, the actual terracotta part, is going to stick out just 1 row forwards, and it will basically what it does, it just boxes this entire area in. Like as soon as you walk in the school, you will see this set of double staircases here, and you'll know where to go. You can either go straight out of the back or you can go up. Like it makes things nice and easy. Like you'll be able to make a nice quick decision on where you want to go, because it's very like one way or the other, if you know what I'm saying. So now we have a double set of staircases. That's perfect. We can get up and down the school, which is a huge stride. What we're also going to want to do is we want to be able to get into all of these classrooms that we've designated. So let's start on all the way over on this left side on the front of the school, and we'll work our way over. So I like to put the entrances to the classrooms next to the walls that separate the classrooms, and I like to leave a gap of 1, and I like to have a double door. So a lot of these times I'm going to have to place something underneath the doors, and I'm going to place a little bit of glass above. And if you like, you can designate what sort of classroom you want this to be, and use a sign, use any sign, maybe a dark oak one, you know, whatever you want to do. And next to this, or maybe you could even do it like here if you wanted to, you could put like math 1, because we're gonna have multiple classrooms of the same kind. So like we can have math 1, and what I'd recommend is bells as well next to the classroom. So those bells are obviously, you know, when a lesson ends, ding 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 ding, move on to the next one, or at least that's how it was at my school. So a bell outside of every classroom. So say that's math 1, we come down here, we've got another wall, we'll leave a gap of 1, we have to fill in the floor a little bit like this, a couple of doors, a little bit of glass above, and then we can do the same sort of thing here. So, I mean, you know, this could either be math 2 or it could be like science 1. You guys get the idea. You're going to want to label the classrooms in such a way that, you know, they're going to be the classrooms that they are. But that's just an example. And then we drop down here and so on and so forth until and I'm just going to preemptively put the sign and the bell, and we can label things as we actually build them. But, I just want to install all of the doorways here, and we'll do the same on that opposite side. But when it comes to the big room, I'm going to have the same thing, except the wall here is where the white concrete is. I'm going to leave a gap of 1, and I'm just going to have like a double doorway, and I'm going to have the same glass up above. This is the cafeteria, by the way. I'm going to have a dark oak door, and I'm going to have the same bell and sign here as well, and that's actually going to be a cafeteria, quite a large room. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side of the build as well, which all takes a lot of time. So once that has been done, so that is the exact same thing done on that side as well. And once that has been completed there, we can move up a level. Now, this level here is a little bit different. The second level has a lot of different kinds of rooms, but here are the ones that we're going to do that same thing to. So as you walk up the staircase and you come towards the left, this area here is going to be the library. So I'm going to make the same doorway here, and I think that the library should probably have a bell, I think. So again, well, whoops, my bad. So it's going to have a sign and a bell, and that large room there's the library. Now, this room here, next to the big middle room, this is a teacher's lounge. Probably doesn't really need a... You know what? It might actually look better with a bell. Teachers need to know when the lessons start too, I guess, thinking about it. So that can have a bell, that can have a sign. And the same thing can be said for all of these small rooms. Every one of these small rooms right here upstairs, these can all have the same double door and the bells and the glass and all of that. So let me just apply all of that to every single small room upstairs. There's quite a lot of them. This is what the hall will look like once it has been completely given doors and bells and signs. So of course every single room now has bells, doors, it has windows, it has all of that fun stuff. Except for one. There is one room that has not been given anything. This is going to be where you have a reception and the principal's office, or the headmaster. That's what we call them in England. It's like head teacher, headmaster, head whatever. Principal, I think, is a term that we can all agree on. So this is the secretary / principal's office. So this is going to have doors as well. It's going to have doors here, just on the left, very similar to the teacher's lounge. It's going to have a couple of glass blocks. It's going to have the same oak doors, except it doesn't really need the bell and what have you, because it's not really a classroom. Nobody's going to be teaching in this room. I'm going to make a window here that's going to span at the width of the room, except leaving a block on both sides, kind of like that. So it's quite form-fitting for the area. So once we enter the room here, we are also going to want to create a wall. So the wall is going to be made out of terracotta, of course. I'm just going to fill that little block in here. We're going to leave a gap of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to create a wall, just like this. Now, this wall is, of course, going to go all the way up to the ceiling, just like this. And it's going to look just fine. So all of the ceiling can be filled in. Eventually, you'll hit the point up here. Oh, actually, no. That's the highest point there. So terracotta, and then eventually you'll just have to place quartz slabs up on top. I'd also consider adding in a false ceiling, because obviously we can have higher, but if you have a ceiling, say like 1, 2, 3, 4, like you can have like a false ceiling added so that it doesn't seem too high in here. I'd probably recommend that, at least for the reception area here. Perfect. I'm going to have a double door here, just on the right side, with windows. The double door will be right here. I'm using oak doors, but I might swap those out later. I'm going to have another window, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that we can see into the principal's office, see if anybody's busy in there, like this. And then in here, I think I am going to add in the false ceiling, so it's just going to be white concrete, essentially, just so that it doesn't feel too high, pretty much, you know, just so that it's not too massive in here. That's pretty much all it is to it. Like, I just don't want, I don't want it to be too high in here, too tall, so that's perfect. And let me just add a couple of torches just so that we can actually see. Perfect. That's great. So that's a lot of the structure done. That's a lot of the rooms laid out up here at the very least. That is wonderful. I'd also recommend, by the way, on the second floor, add in a wall of terracotta here at the back. That'll cover up the back of the clock. And we're going to have like lockers and stuff up here later on. We're rapidly approaching the point where we can start adding details to the hallway, by the way. Although we are missing just one major piece of structure downstairs before we can start doing that. But when it comes to the ceiling up here, I actually like the exposed high ceiling for this point because it makes it feel big and airy. I'd recommend using... That's a bad idea, that is. Hang on. Hang on, here we go. So what I'd recommend doing, I just made a slight mistake there. I'd recommend adding in an extra row of white concrete here on the left and right side, and then running rows of quartz stairs back and forth underneath this ceiling part here. I think would make it look quite good. Like this. So it'll add a little bit of shape to the ceiling rather than that side. It will make it look more deliberate. So we could just leave the ceiling all exposed exactly how we had it anyway. Or you can kind of add a little bit of shape to it like this. Maybe probably add another row of quartz slab just up at the top here. I think that would look quite good. Just like this. So front and back here. That's perfect. So we'll have something which should look like that. And you can see that's much more shapely. That's a bit of a nicer look. There is one more thing that we have to do on a large scale structure-wise, and by the way, that's the upstairs structure-wise mostly complete, right? There is one more thing that I really want to do downstairs. I want to, at least in the hallways, I want to create a ceiling of quartz slabs. In the classrooms, I don't think I'm that bothered. In the classrooms, I don't mind that it's going to be oak for the ceiling. But for the hallways, I really am. And by the way, I'm also going to just fill in this little gap here behind the, next to the doorway. I want to make that straight, or flat rather. I'm just going to add quartz slabs to the ceiling because I want to add some like cameras to the ceiling and stuff, and I think that it'd look better if I added quartz slabs. And I'm gonna dip upstairs, and I'm gonna see if that's feasible for upstairs as well. I mean, I could do that, but I don't want to. I think that it might actually ruin it. I don't know whether I want to add cameras to the ceilings, but I'll give you the option anyway. But what I definitely do want to do is I do want to add quartz slab to the ceilings so the hallways look a bit nicer, bigger and brighter. So that'll look exactly like this. Perfect. That is what downstairs will look like with all of the quartz slabs, and I do think that I'm going to do the same upstairs. So you can see the difference here. The quartz it's a different color than the oak, which is important. It makes it look bigger, and I am going to do the same thing up here. So basically just underneath all of this white concrete, I'm just going to add in the quartz slabs, and that'll end up looking a little something. So this is what the second level would look like once you've completed the ceiling. I do think that it makes the area look a lot better actually. I know that we already had the white concrete, but there's just something about this, it just adds a little something to the build. So says me. So now that we've sorted all of the walls out, all of the ceiling, all of the floors, all of that stuff, we can add things to the hallways, we can make details, and we can really polish off everywhere except the classroom. So to make lockers, we're going to need light grey concrete, buttons, light grey shulker box item frames, iron bars, cauldrons, and tripwire hooks. This will allow us to make some water fountains as well. So lockers, I'm going to recommend placing them anywhere where you have like a long flat bit of wall with no doors on it. So for instance, like as soon as you walk in the school, like from the main entrance, left and right here is a perfect place. I'm going to recommend that you place alternating light grey and grey concretes. This will break up the coloration of the lockers. Place the same coloured shulker box on top of the concrete, so light grey on light grey, grey on grey. I'm going to recommend that you place item frames in front of the shulker boxes, like this. And place iron bars in the item frames, like this, and buttons down below. And to me, that just looks like a cool set of lockers. I'd recommend doing the same thing on this opposite side here. Again, anywhere that you kind of have like long bits of wall, where otherwise you don't really have anything else, because the classrooms don't really have windows. They've got windows on the outside, so there's no reason to add any other windows, like here, for instance. Like, it'd be a little bit weird, actually. Kind of like being peered in on whilst you're taking a lesson. So I think that the lockers are quite a good candidate, and they're all made in the same way. They actually function as well as lockers, funnily enough. They function as lockers because you can actually, like, crack open the shulker box and sort stuff in there. So there you go, like that's what you can do with a set to make a set of lockers. The same can be done like over here, for instance, you know, where we have like the cafeteria. We can equally have like a set of lockers over here. But not only can you make lockers, by the way, and this is a huge set of lockers that we've just made. That's like a really long set of lockers. You can, of course, add like drinking fountains. So cauldrons with tripwire hooks above them. They kind of look like drinking fountains. And you can just place one every so often interspersed between the lockers. If you've got a better design for the drinking fountain, feel free to add that. But again, like it's just the same sort of deal. You guys get the idea. You can make these all up this wall. You can do the same here. So like where we have the assembly hall, for instance, you can add a whole set of lockers up here, and we're going to add some drinking fountains onto this side as well. So all the way up here, say we can have like, I kind of want to line them up with where the white concretes are on the opposite wall. So kind of we'd have like a drinking fountain here, give a little space left and right, where we have this white concrete here, come to this opposite side, have another drinking fountain in the form of a cauldron. You know, we can just add those details up and down there. That's how we can do that. Now, there's a couple more things we can do. We can add a couple of plant pots somewhere, maybe. We can add some torches. We can add a bit of red carpet. So, if you feel as though that in between the classrooms, you know, you kind of want a little something, you can add some white glazed terracotta or any glazed terracotta, and you can add a little bit of plantage, like up and down the halls, just to kind of add a little bit of colour. You're more than welcome to add like paintings in the form of posters. Quite oftentimes at school, like you'll have like posters for like upcoming school events and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to have some colourful flyers and posters kind of like plastered up and down school. I'd recommend making the hallways a little bit lighter as well. And I'd also recommend adding, and this is a bit of a weird one. So a lot of schools have cameras these days, right? I mean, our school did have quite a few cameras, so I mean, I guess they like to keep an eye on you, I don't know. If you use an observer and kind of like put them towards like the middle of like the hallways, and you can kind of like build them in, they kind of look like security cameras in a sense. And they've kind of got like the flashing button. I mean, 2 of them would probably do just fine just like that, but it's just an extra little detail like that. And I'd also recommend adding some carpet. I like the idea of having quite a large carpet. Now, this can be any colour. I'm using red because red's my favourite colour. But you could have like a huge carpet leading pretty much, if you just maintain a gap of 1 between the classrooms and the walls and stuff, then you could just have a huge carpet. And the red carpet basically will tell you where to go. That's pretty much the point of the carpet. So like in having this carpet, and I guess you can't actually place it directly next to the lockers because they've got buttons. So the carpet's actually going to have to be a bit smaller on the sides. Anywhere where you've got these lockers, say, you won't be able to place the carpet because you'll have stone buttons on the lower side. But just to clarify, because this is going to take a long time to do, okay? So I'm going to make all of the lockers. We know how to make all of the lockers. I'm just going to add all of those in. I'm going to perhaps add some more water fountains. I'm going to add a little bit of red carpet, maybe some paintings about the place, and maybe some other things as well that we've already discussed, some plants and what have you. So I'm going to do that down below. But not only that, of course, I'm going to come upstairs and I'm going to do the same sort of thing as well. I don't want you to think that I'm just doing that to downstairs. I'm also going to apply that upstairs. So I'm going to have a set of lockers coming across this wall, and I'll probably have a couple of water fountains outside some classrooms, and I'm going to have a set of lockers here up at the top of the stairs, and probably some red carpet leading about the place. So let's apply all of those techniques to the first and second story of the school, and then we'll actually be ready to take on some individual rooms themselves, which is pretty exciting, I think. So I've just finished decorating all of the hallways downstairs and upstairs, and I just want to show you what I think that it should look like before we move on to the individual classrooms and all of the specialty rooms. So downstairs we have the lockers, we have the observer blocks, which are essentially security cameras, we have some plants dispersed, we have all of the rooms labelled, we have paintings that look like posters and flyers, we have drinking fountains, we have carpet on the floor. All of the hallways are nice and lively now, and we even have a bit of carpet that leads to the back entrance. The same thing upstairs. Upstairs we have more plants, we have more lockers, we have a painting above the lockers. That could be anything. That could be like some sort of like wrestling tournament poster. You guys get the idea. If you've got to use your imagination, you've got to use your imagination a little bit, but that's what that could be. And of course we have the same things upstairs as we do down below, and it just makes the hallways a lot better. It's a lot more detail. Feel free to add more, feel free to add less, but that's what we should really be looking at by the time that we have done all of the hallway. So now that that is all done, ladies and gentlemen, we can now work on each individual room. And there's a set of specialty rooms that I want to work on and complete before we just start making classrooms everywhere. So this first specialty room is located on the first floor and it is just left of these stairs. This is going to be an assembly hall. It's a large room, and to make this room you will need all of these materials that I'm now showing you on the screen right now. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of those materials, and then once you do have them all, we can get started on the room. Alright, so now we have all of that stuff, and of course, pause the video if you have to, we can get started on the room. So, at the end of this long hallway is going to be kind of like a stage, a raised area. I'm going to use red concrete for this, and I'm going to place 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of red concrete coming away from this back wall. And this is basically if the staff, like if the principal has any announcements or what have you, gather a load of students, and this is basically the room to do it. So 4 rooms of red concrete coming away from the wall. We want a double row of quartz stairs here on the left, a quartz block to the right of the stairs, and we're going to trim the stage by placing a row of quartz slabs like this. In the middle of the stage, and it doesn't necessarily have a middle, 2 blocks are the middle, we're going to have a light grey concrete and a lectern next to it. We're going to have a couple of seats along the stage. Now, these seats are 1 row away from the light grey concrete and the lectern, and then we have a seat, gap, seat. Like I said, it's an odd number of blocks, so we kind of have to set the seats up in a particular way. I'm going to have kind of like a backdrop. So this is going to be made out of red banners, and this is kind of to emulate some sort of like curtain or something similar to that. It's basically just something to look at behind us. You could equally so use white banners and create kind of like a white screen, and we could even have like a projector in the form of like an observer block, but I'm going for something that's a little bit more traditional. I figured that the speaker might have a computer or a laptop, so if we place a heavy iron pressure plate, and we actually have to, we don't place the pressure plate yet, place something on top of the light grey block, place a birch trapdoor closing onto that block, and then a weighted pressure plate, and then that kind of looks like a laptop of some sort. You're more than welcome, of course, to use a different kind of trapdoor as well. If you are kind of interested in the observer block setup, because the observer also does kind of look like a projector of some sort. Like it does look like, if you place it this way, it does look like, you know, it'd be able to shine a light onto like a wall. And I mean, I'm sure that you guys have these or have had these at school, and it might look a little bit better this way. I've not tested this out. This is just something off the top of my head right now, but you know, it might look a little bit more, might look a little bit better like that, kind of like a projection screen of some sort or something like that. I don't know, it's up to you. You can do that, or you know, or you can just leave it the way I designed it. It's up to you. And we need some seating in here as well. Now that's going to be made up primarily of some andesite stairs and some polished diorite stairs, but you can use any. I'm going to use a little bit of carpet, I'm going to use some paintings, and we need a block to place the painting, so like red concrete will do. And all we're going to do basically is we're just going to place rows of stairs. We're going to leave a gap of 2 between the stage here, and we're just going to place alternating rows of polished andesite polished diorite stairs, gap of 2, and then alternating rows. And all this is, it's, you know those metal chairs that you get that all like stack and slot together? That's what these are. That's pretty much the purpose of these, and all of these are just being placed in such a way they're all just like stacked next to each other. We're going to have a row across the back of the room as well, because whenever we had assemblies you'd always get teachers involved too, and you can just place perhaps like a little bit of green carpet like in front of the chairs like this, just to kind of like brighten up the area a little bit. And we're also going to place some paintings on the sides of the room that will look like posters. This could also double, by the way, as like a little, like a drama stage of some sort. So this could look quite, you know, this room could be used in a couple of different ways. But assembly hall is kind of like what I had in my head. I'm going to aim to place the paintings opposite to the windows. So I'm just going to have like paintings like here, and then how do they work? Oh, I guess that they are like, it's exactly like where the hang on. No, oh, it's not separated in such a way that you can place them and they like line up with the chairs. Actually, I was kind of like lining it up with the gaps of the chairs, but the windows are 3 blocks away from each other. So knowing that, we could do this, but then they coincide. But then they kind of like get in the way of the torches. So I'm just going to place them kind of like randomly a little bit then. But you know, something like this will be fine, and these could be posters for. Are you serious? Can we get a different one, please? Different. Come on, maybe the cake. The cake one's fine. There we go, perfect. You know, just a few posters, just to kind of like that it could be upcoming plays or functions or whatever it might be. I mean, you could even drop one back here somewhere if you wanted to as well. I don't know if that's a little bit too big, but you guys get the idea. And this is kind of like a nice completed assembly hall. It's a very, very simple room, and once you've completed it, we can move on to the next room. So the next room is going to be, we're still on the ground floor of the school, but we're coming to the opposite side of the ground floor here, and it's going to be this rather big room here. Now, this rather big room is going to be a cafeteria, which will require all of these materials that you can see on the screen right now. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials and enough of them as well, and then we can make the cafeteria. Okay, so once you've gathered all of those materials, and of course, pause the video if necessary, we can get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do for the cafeteria is I'm going to designate the area where you actually get the food. So that's all the way at the end of this long hall here. If you come all the way up to this window and you place an oak trapdoor coming out from this closed side, and you place a white concrete going right of the oak trapdoor, and you place one going back, but you want to extend the white concrete to the right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And we're going to extend the white concrete this way as well, and it's going to extend about 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to place another oak trapdoor, and I'm also going to flip the white concrete inwards as well. It kind of looks like a mustache. And then I'm going to stick a white concrete on the end of the trapdoor and connect to the wall. So that's the sort of area that we've got working for us. I want to create a walkway around this area. So I'm going to just dig out a little bit of an area here. And I'm going to place white concrete snaking around this countertop. Now the white concrete is going to sit and snake around this point. And I'm going to place oak fence all the way around on top of the white concrete here. So this is going to allow people to, like, this is where you start, this is where you end. I'm going to stick light grey concrete all the way along the wall area inside of the counter space, just to kind of give it some structure. So obviously we're going to want to be able to get food here, so I'm going to place a chest, a double chest starting from this corner, and I'm going to work across. So obviously we're going to be able to get food, we're going to be able to get drinks, and that just means like placing a mixture of chests, a mixture of chests, and just a mixture of food as well. So like a mixture of chests, food, and drinks. So that's why we have the chests and the brewing stands coming along this wall. So maybe about 4 or so chests coming upwards this way. And I'm going to use cakes to illustrate this. So I'm just going to have like a row of cakes, kind of like desserts. The desserts always like towards the end here. I'm going to use item frames, and I'm just going to place them pretty much like above all of these cake area here, above the chests, pretty much everywhere here. I don't have anything that would kind of like qualify as a drink that you'd really be able to get from school. There's no item that really kind of looks like a Coke or a Pepsi or whatever, but you can chuck item frames up here above this, and you can have like potions in here. But we're not going to fill in those item frames just yet. I'm going to place some white stained glass paint around the top of this white countertop here, this inside part, because this is going to have cauldrons behind it. And the reason for these is basically, like, you know when like you have food and you like have a tray, and I might even like cut off part of this here, and I might use like stone pressure plates, like, you know how you can like, you grab like a food tray and then like you have the food put on, like that's what you could kind of have here. And maybe there's like even like a collection of trays just at the end here as well. And we have kind of like, I'm going to have like a cash register, which is the polished andesite stairs. We can have a couple of flower pots because they just look like cups as well. And that's the sort of area that we're looking for. Like, we're going to fill all of these item frames in just at the end here, but that's looking pretty good as it is. We need to have tables in the middle of the cafeteria. So the tables are dead easy, actually. They're made out of oak fence, some weighted pressure plates, and I do believe some quartz stairs too. And we're just going to kind of figure out where they go. We're going to leave a gap of 1 here between this fence, and we're just going to place like a double stair, and then I think that we're just going to leave a gap of 2 and then double stair, and we're going to start off with that. And then I guess we've kind of got a what we'll do is we'll shift the stairs over 1 like this, perfect, and then we've got like a gap of 2, gap of 2, gap of 2, and then you can place oak fence in between the stairs, place another set of stairs on the opposite side, and then we can just place some weighted pressure plates on top of the oak fence just like this. And then if you leave a gap of 2, we can have like another set of stairs, and we'll obviously have the oak fence in there. We'll have another gap of 2, and then I think it looks as though that we'll be able to have about a set of 3 seats in here. So all of the seats, my bad, these actually should be spaced a little bit further away from each other. I kind of messed that up a little bit. So the seats, I want there to be a gap of 2 between them. There we go, perfect. And then this set will be here. I actually think that that doesn't line up so badly. So yeah, funnily enough, that actually lines up with the end of the wall there, like where you actually walk in. So that's where all of the seats are going to be. And then we can have the oak fence in between them, and the weighted pressure plates on top of the fences like this. Perfect. That's looking pretty good. So we've got like seats, we've got a place to actually get the food. I want to have a couple of vending machines because these aren't so uncommon either, like red concrete, blue concrete, item frames, use some buttons here, and then something to put in the vending machines, either like potions or like cake or whatever. Like if you start in this corner, we can have just like a full-on like red vending machine, and just put item frames on the side, and whatever it is being sold in the vending machines, and buttons up there. You can leave a gap of 2 and then have like another vending machine if you want, gap of 2, another vending machine. So you could have like 2 vending machines that are perhaps like for drinks, and like maybe 1 vending machine in the middle, which is for like cake or, you know, snack food or whatever it might be. I like the idea of having bins in here as well, so that could just be like cauldrons, and it could be like iron trapdoors on top, and you could even have signs in here. Now this won't be in the item list because this is like an extra thing. If you want, you can have like signs that say like, you know, bins here, you know, chuck food here, whatever, you know, whatever it might be. Like you could have like a couple of signs designating you what you actually do with your rubbish. Along the walls, we can have paintings. Again, like, I feel as though that there'd be a load of paintings and stuff, not paintings necessarily, there'd be a load of posters up at school. There was always posters up for something or another. So I like the idea that we've kind of got the posters, we've got light, we've got all of the seating taken care of. You know, it's quite a nice lively area, this. And we can even lay carpet down if you want as well, in between perhaps the, we can lay it around and in between, here we go, and in between all of the seats like this, and it will look quite good. So we can split the middle, like so. And I know that I'm kind of getting carpet everywhere, but that's okay. I'm using red again, by the way, but you don't have to use red carpet. I just happen to think that any carpet would look quite good. And I mean, I don't know, I definitely want it to kind of like come around. Do I want it to come around this point? Yeah, I like the idea of the carpet being on the inside of this area. So maybe that's where we'll have it. We'll have it just around the, like where you would collect the food, and then all of this space here. So that's not looking too bad at all. And then basically all of these item frames, and the item list will have told you this. You're just going to fill them with whatever, right? Like you're going to fill them with whatever's edible pretty much. So, you know, just grab a load of food of different types and you just want to fill them in. And you can have repeats, you can use stuff that looks like food, like whatever you want to do, it's completely fine. Maybe we'll put cookies above here. But like you just want to decorate the area a little bit. If you want to add in a sneaky little bit of light, there's plenty of ways to do it. You can add like, say, a lantern. My bad. You can add like a lantern next to a chest or so. You can, you know, you can easily do that, and that will create quite a bit of light. You're more than welcome, since it's a cafeteria, to perhaps even, if you wanted to, and again, this won't be in the item list because this is all completely like up to you. Since it is kind of like a special room, you might want to add a bit of quartz slab to the ceiling. For whatever reason, I feel because it's a cafeteria, it's supposed to feel a bit cleaner, if that makes sense. And there's something about white, obviously, it's like just a big void, it's like nice and empty, it's quite enlarging, like it's just quite a nice material to have for a ceiling. So you could perhaps have that in here if you wanted to, if you would think that that'd enhance the look of the room. I mean, you can kind of like get a gist for it, as I've half done it here, but we've pretty much done the cafeteria itself. There's not really much else that I would choose to add in here. It's got quite a bit of detail. We could add more, you could take some away, you can change certain things, but that's pretty much what you can do with every single room in this entire school. I do think that for the cafeteria, like the white ceiling does look quite nice though. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the cafeteria complete, I do think. And once you've completed the cafeteria, we're going to work our way out of this room, and we're going to come up to the second level, because they're all the specialty rooms done on the ground floor. Now on the specialty level, there are a few special rooms, but the largest of the special rooms is the library. As you get up to the top of the stairs, you come to the left side and you immediately come inside this large room on the left. Now this is the library. This is obviously where all the books are. We're not even actually going to have computers in here, really. I want this basically just to be books, and it's going to require all of these materials that you can now see on the screen right in front of you. So please do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of those materials as well. And once you do have all of those, we can get things started. So now that we have all of our materials, we can get started. And of course, pause the video if you have to. So the first thing that I'm going to do is place bookshelves all along this back wall. The same wall that is directly to the left of you as you enter the library. Now that we have placed all of those bookshelves, I'm going to use white concrete, and in between this first pair of windows, literally in the middle, I'm going to place a row of 7 white concrete, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, extending from the wall into the center of the room. Place an oak trapdoor on the end, coming towards the bookshelves, and then join to the bookshelves. So this is kind of like where the librarian will be. If you like, you can add, say, like a sea lantern, just to kind of like add a little bit of light. And you can do a similar thing as well. If at the end of the room, you fill the end of the wall in also with bookshelves. Again, there's a lot of bookshelves in this room, ladies and gentlemen. I think it goes without saying, it's a library. You can even extend these bookshelves all the way up this room. I want this room to feel like there's so many books, like you could never read them. That's what I want to have in this room. So that's why we're placing all of these bookshelves. I want it to feel like an old-fashioned library before like computers and stuff came into the fray. Additionally, in between these windows, more so, like not this pair of windows here, but more so all of the others, I'm going to make some quartz slabs that are going to be shelves in between all of the windows, like this. And I'm gonna have like just books on here, and I'm also gonna chuck a lantern. So not only does this look as though that we've got some extra storage for books, which is great, but it also provides some much needed light in the room as well. I want to make some bookshelves in the middle of the room as well. These are basically going to be in between the middle block of the row of 3 in between all the windows, and you're going to be able to maintain a distance of 2 from the wall and the bookshelves. So that sounds a bit confusing, but basically in between the windows we're just going to have a double row of bookshelves, and that's where the bookshelves are all going to be laid out, like just between the windows, like here. I mean, we might not have one here, we might have like a table here just up at the front, but we'll at least probably have at least 2 of these. We might just have 2, so like maybe we'll have like one at the back here in between this back pair, gap, another set of bookshelves. So you can see we're quickly building a room that's it's got a certain feel to it. I want to create tables. Now the tables are placed in the same place as the bookshelves. So where we decided not to place bookshelves, I want to have a table that is 3 rows thick. They're as long as the bookshelves, like this. Perfect. And they're just going to sit in between the windows. And it's basically just made out of spruce wood slabs. Solid spruce wood blocks on all 4 corners, slabs in the middle, and then you can just place like spruce wood stairs like either side. And that's just like a very normal looking table. There are way cooler tables that you can make, like using trapdoors and stuff, but just for the sake of like not driving yourself crazy, just make a regular table. You can, or don't. It is up to you. It depends how much detail you do want to add. But I mean, that's quite sufficient. Like, this is a nice looking area. You can even add perhaps like a another shelf up here, sea lanterns, maybe like a double chest up here or so. Could even maybe have one like a little bit lower, closer to the ground. You know, something like this. Like, you can put stuff on the walls, and we can put like maybe like a painting here. I'm using the bookshelves to kind of like frame it. Like, there's plenty of things that we can add, and it makes sense. Like, we'd have posters for books and stuff in here. So like, you know, there are things that you can add to make the area look a little bit fancier. You can stick torches on the ends of the middle bookshelves. That will actually improve the lighting situation, I think, enough so that you don't really have to add any more light. I think that actually looks alright. You can add details to the tables. Now this might just be me. It's completely up to you how you feel about this. But if you place a white carpet with, where did you go? A white carpet with oak pressure plates on either side, that kind of looks like an open book. It actually doesn't have to be on both sides. Like, an oak pressure plate next to a white carpet makes me look like the white is paper and then the oak is like the cover of a book. That works with anything. It's just that the oak pressure plate has a different texture, and if the white is specifically where the seat is, then it does look as though someone's reading. You can chuck like flower pots on tables to make things look a little bit nicer and brighter. You can even do that on top of the bookcases. You know, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can add loads of small little details like that. You're more than welcome to place like chests about the place as well, because I mean, maybe that's even more storage. You could even say, like, hang off of the shelves, you could hang item frames with books in. Now, these aren't going to be in the item list because these are all extras, but I always like to give you guys, if I could even find the books. Oh, book, there we go. So these are pretty much extras, right? Like, if you want to, like, you can just hang them off here. It's just a little bit of extra detail. You don't have to add it. It's absolutely not required whatsoever. But you know, you might find that you actually quite like that, or you don't. It's up to you. Not only that, but like this reception area here, I like the idea of having like an open book here, just along this table. We need a computer. The computer is going to be made out of basically, we've got a quartz stairs, item frame, apple, and then we have We are missing 2 materials, but they'll be in the item list: a stone pressure plate and also a button. This is a common computer that I like to make. It's basically quartz stairs, item frame apple that makes it look like a Mac, and then a stone pressure plate and a button, keyboard, mouse. Very, very simple design, but I think quite effective. And then you can, if you like, you can add, say, like carpet to the area. So like you could add maybe like a little bit of green carpet back here. You could perhaps add a chair. You could add a table. Like there's many things that you can add to the library to make it a bit homier. Like, you know, obviously, like, you don't have to just... It doesn't have to just be this stuff. Like, if you want, like I mentioned, like you can add tables, you can add like chairs. They can be made out of any such things. Like, you don't have to just stop at the decorations that I add. You are more than welcome to, say, like back here, like have a whole seat and a table situation. But because we've got the carpet, that makes things very difficult. But you know, there's many ways to do things. But I think that pretty much covers the library, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you can make it like this, or you can add more details. Like there's many things you can do here. Once you have finished with the library, however, we can move on to a cool set of rooms now. So we've done 3 rooms so far. We've done like an assembly area, we've done the cafeteria, we've done the library. The next room is exact opposite the library. So as soon as you come out of the library, this exact same room right here next to where the reception/principal's office is going to be, this is the teacher's lounge. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's a very cool room. It's a fun room as well. Here are all of the materials that you are going to need to make the teacher's lounge. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials and enough of them as well. So once you have gathered all of those materials, ladies and gentlemen, we can get started. And of course, as always, pause the video if necessary. So the first thing that we're going to do in the teacher's lounge is we are going to focus, as you walk through, directly to the left, we're going to have a lot of counter space. So we're going to leave a gap of 2, and we're going to place iron blocks, or it can be any white block really, quartz, white concrete, whatever, coming along this wall, hitting the wall. So we are then going to place 2 iron blocks, cauldron, iron block, double furnace, iron block, a 2x2 square of white concrete, and then we're going to have bookshelves hitting this wall, going up almost to the ceiling. So this is the kind of area laid out a little bit. I'm going to place polished andesite stairs above the cooking area, and I'm going to place brown shulker boxes across from the andesite stairs all the way over to the left like this. I'm going to place a backwards iron door on 1/2 of the 2x2 square of white concrete with buttons to kind of make it look like a fridge freezer sort of deal. Next, I'm going to grab a few more things. I'm going to keep the buttons on me, and we will be using bookshelves again, but I'm going to grab tripwire hook, brewing stand, flower pots, grey concrete item frames, white stained glass pane, red concrete, and some quartz stairs. And I'm going to place what will look like a microwave here along this row through. It's going to go right in the middle, grey concrete, button on the sides, item frame, white stained glass pane in the middle of it. Kind of looks like a microwave of some sort. The cauldron is a sink, so a tripwire hook above it. And you're more than welcome to, say, like a coffee making machine, so a brewing stand and some flower pots, and you can even place like a couple of them kind of like strewn about the place a little bit. So what else are we going to have? Well, we're going to have a couple of seats, right? So the seats are going to be... There's going to be 2. So there's one in front of this iron block here. We're going to leave a gap of 1, and then we're going to leave like... It's kind of going to start here. We're going to have a row of 3 red concrete, leave a gap, and then 4 red concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you can imagine, they'll look like this. I'm going to flare the 4th concrete inwards one, and I'm going to place a set of quartz stairs facing towards the fridge area. And then with this set, I'm going to place a quartz stairs on the left and the right, just like this. So I know it's kind of like a weird layout, but that's what it is at the moment. And I'm just going to chuck these away, and I'm going to need some more bookshelves. I'm going to need quartz slabs. I'll need some like scaffolding, black concrete, note blocks, arm stands, sea lanterns. How have they not fixed that? Regular lanterns, paintings, and we'll need carpets and stuff too. But first of all, I'm just going to chuck a lantern next to the microwave to keep things light. Same thing with the fridge. I'm just going to stick one on there. When it comes to kind of like the seating area here, I'm just going to place kind of like... I might have like a little coffee table, kind of like... It doesn't really, actually, it doesn't even really work to have like a coffee table here, but maybe if we just place like a scaffolding here, just kind of like next to this seating area. I want a scaffolding here because it kind of looks like a table as well. We can have a little coffee table here, kind of like made out of quartz slabs, or that could even kind of like just be a little table that people can place things on, or it could be an island of some sort. What else can we have here? Well, we can also have a TV. So this is going to be opposite here, opposite the seating area. We'll just leave a gap of 2 between here and the wall. And we're just going to make a TV stand. It's going to be a small one, just a 3-block TV stand out of quartz slabs. And 2 quartz slabs to make like feet, and then a quartz slab to make like a shelf. Black concrete in the middle, note blocks either side, quartz slabs across the top. And I think if we place some buttons inside of the jukeboxes / note blocks, and if you wanted to, you can like fill that screen in with something, but I'm actually going to leave it empty. I'm just going to chuck an armor stand here in the corner, maybe even 2 of them. And tripwire hooks that actually work well for the armor stands too, so maybe just like a couple of tripwire hooks just up above. Could even chuck a lantern in the corner there to compensate, or maybe even like here for instance, and then we don't have to have one in the corner, I don't think. Perfect. Or maybe on the table it'd even be better. That's perfect. Great. And then along this back wall, I like the idea of having some books just in the corner so people can read. I like the idea as well of having like just more seating, you know, just like quartz stairs, scaffolding, quartz stairs, and then you can either use like a sea lantern or something else. Regular lantern, not a sea lantern. And then, I mean, the room's quite complete, really, but we can use some carpet to kind of like decorate the area a little bit, you know, just add a little bit of color to the room. It is kind of cluttered, but that's the sort of idea that I like this planet to do, like food, drinks, relax, calm down, watch a bit of TV, hang your coat up and all of that. Like the teachers, obviously, like they've got a pretty stressful job. They've got to deal with you all day. When I was at school, they had to deal with me, so I can understand they need somewhere to like come and relax in between lessons and at lunch and stuff. So just imagine having to deal with you, or you know, having to deal with the people in your class. Of course, they need like a nice place to come and calm down a little bit. So this is kind of like the little area. You're more than welcome to put up some more paintings. I did have, oh, there we go. We're at some paintings. Like one would probably be all right here. Yeah, that's actually fine. That can go up like that. We could even have like one here as well, kind of like a double high painting. So something like that. You know, just to make the room look a little bit more cluttered, a little bit more lively and lived in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, that's like the teacher's lounge. That's pretty much all that's in there. It's not like a dreadful, horrible place. It's actually like a relaxing place where people, like teachers, can go for their break. So now, once that's done, we do have 2 more specialty rooms to do. We only have 2 special rooms to do. The first of which is the reception. This is the reception area right here. It's a very small room. Here are the materials that we are going to need to make the reception. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials, and enough of them as well. So once you have all of those materials, ladies and gentlemen, we can get started. And of course, as always, pause if necessary. So this room is basically a reception area. So you're going to sit here, you can talk to like the principal's assistant, the secretary. You guys get the idea. If you've got a problem, you come here. So as soon as you walk through the door on the left, we're going to have a seating area. Red concrete on both sides, or any concrete colour really, and a couple of quartz stairs will look just fine. We need to create a desk to sit at. So the desk is actually going to be right next to these double doors. We're going to have 2 spruce slabs coming out of the wall. We're going to have that wrap around, and we're going to place 1, 2, 3, and I think that 4, we'll do 4, so that it's as long as the stairs there, or as long as the glass, and then we'll join it down, so it's kind of like a wraparound desk. We're going to chuck a seat behind the desk. That's a simple spruce wood stairs. And we're going to make a computer, like an old-fashioned one. So like a quartz stairs here, item frame in it, apple, stone pressure plate on the side, and you can place like the button on this side or the other side. It doesn't really matter too much. Once you've done that, I'm going to stick a bell next to the two windows here, the separation between the windows, and I'm just going to grab this next set of materials here. So painting, red glazed terracotta, oak leaves, white carpet, red carpet, flower pot, and some dark oak doors. I figure the principal is going to have a fancier set of doors than oak, so we're going to go with dark oak. And we're going to have like a flower pot here. So that's basically just, I mean, you can stick a flower in it, but like, you know, pens or whatever can go in there. Going to place red glazed terracotta against this wall with a couple of leaves just to make it look a little bit nicer. We're going to use alternating white and red carpet just in front of this desk area just to, again, make it nicer. We're going to place a 1x2 painting here, just next to this wall. Actually, that's my favourite painting out of the two that you can actually get, Pinocchio or that. That's looking pretty good. And if you want to keep things nice and light and bright, this won't have been in the item list, but you're more than welcome to chuck like a lantern down or two, wherever you like. And it's like a very simple room, but it's a very cozy room. And once you have done this room, and by the way, that's that room complete, we can move into the next one, which is the principal's office. So this is the principal's office. To make the principal's office, you will need all of these materials that you can see on the screen right now. So please do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of those materials as well. So once you have all of that stuff, we can get started. And of course, pause the video if you have to. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to cover up the back of this clock by placing bookshelves. The bookshelves are going to almost be as wide as the wall, but we're going to have a gap of 2 on the left and right. You can place chests left and right like this, and you can kind of just leave things like that. If you want to, you can kind of like create additional shelves, perhaps using spruce or perhaps later on a different material, and place more chests if you like. But what else I want to do is I want to create a desk. Now the desk is going to be one row away from the bookshelves. It's going to start off with, it's going to be 2 blocks away from the bookshelves, by the way, and it's going to be spruce wood planks on the corners. It's going to be 3 rows wide, so it's going to have basically a setup kind of like this. Spruce wood planks on the corners with spruce slabs in between, like so. And then just a double chair on one side and a double chair on the other side. So spruce wood stairs, just like this. And I'm going to place spruce wood signs on the sides of these stairs like so. And then that way we can have like a face-to-face meeting if we are the principal. I'm going to have a computer. It's going to be an old-fashioned one. It's going to be like again, it's like a quartz stairs just off to the left here. Item frame, apple. It's going to have like a weighted pressure plate for the keyboard, and of course a button just for the mouse, just like this. I'm also going to, on this desk, I'm going to place lanterns, green carpet, and some flower pots. So just to kind of like flower pots maybe on one side, lantern on the other side, maybe like a little bit of green carpet, kind of just to kind of like liven things up a little bit. Additionally, maybe even a little bit of green carpet in the room, kind of like this, just on like maybe this side of the desk. And I think it might work this side of the desk as well, although we are going to have we might have to shorten it on this side, because we're going to have 2 filing cabinets here. So kind of like in an old school sort of fashion, light grey concrete and grey concrete. And I'm going to make them double high with buttons off the sides of these, and it just kind of looks like filing cabinets like this. And I want to create a shelf as well. So the shelf, it's going to be kind of like double quartz slab here, just on this wall. And I'm thinking just like 1 chest, 1 sea lantern, just like that, just to kind of keep the room nice and bright. And maybe just like a painting on this opposite wall here. So maybe like a painting like this. The painting, I might even make like a collage of paintings. So I might like have a double one, like here. and then maybe like a double one here, something like that, you know, just to kind of keep things, again, I want to keep things like quite bright here, and you could even like hang like a lantern off the wall. And I figured that the principal's office would probably be quite boring overall. There probably wouldn't be a load of fancy stuff in here, as I mean the principal's obviously just an administrator at the end of the day, so I figure something like this would actually be quite fitting. So it is quite nice. It's a nice little sort of study looking area. It is I think it is quite fitting. So once you've actually done that, ladies and gentlemen, once you've completed the principal's office, once you've completed the secretary's office, once you've completed the teacher's lounge, once you have completed the library, once you have completed downstairs, you've completed the assembly hall, and you've completed the cafeteria, we now have loads and loads of rooms left. Those are all of the single-use special rooms that we have just made. We are now going to make 3 separate classrooms in 3 different styles that you can copy and repeat throughout the entire build. Because I want you to bear in mind, we have 3 classrooms on that side, 3 classrooms on this side, that's 6 classrooms. And if we come upstairs, we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 2 on that side. That's 14 classrooms. So we have a lot of classes to make, and you can use a mix of these upcoming 3 to completely fill in the rest of the school, because you'll be able to just repeat these over and over and over again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the first classroom that we're going to make, and by the way, this is how I'm going to make them, and you can make them in any room, you're just going to have to swap things around a little. As you come in through the main entrance of the school, just to the left, we're going to make all 3 on this left hall here, opposite the assembly hall. So in this first room, we're going to make what I would call a general purpose classroom. So this is kind of going to be like an English class or something along those lines. And here are all of the materials that you are going to need to make this classroom in particular. Do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of them as well. So now that we have all of these materials, we can get things started. The first thing that I'm going to do is make an old-fashioned chalkboard or blackboard in between these 2 windows here. So basically just 2 rows of black concrete with spruce wood slabs above and below. Looks like an old-fashioned chalkboard. You know those big boards that literally you used to write on them with chalk? I think they've got a little bit more character than like the interactive whiteboards and even the whiteboards with the markers, so I prefer those. I think they're a little bit more iconic, so to speak. So once you've made that, I also want to make a desk. So I'm going to leave a gap of 1 between the chalkboard, and I'm going to place somewhere on the left a spruce wood stair, I think. I'm going to use oak wood slabs, and I'm going to extend a desk out from the wall, and I'm going to join it down. It's going to be 3 rows wide, 1, 2, 3 slabs joined down. I'm going to stick a pencil pot on the end, and where the pencil pot is, I'm going to leave a gap of 1, and then I'm going to start placing some desks. So I'm going to have like an oak fence, spruce wood stair behind, gap, fence, stair. Something like that, right? And you can either use oak pressure plates as tabletops, or you can use yourself some spruce pressure plates. I'm going to leave a gap of 1 between the stairs, and I'm gonna have another row. I might even leave a gap of 2, to be honest. No, I'm gonna leave a gap of 1 actually, and I'm just gonna have like another set of stairs here and another set of seats. You could even go as far as having like 1 more if you wanted to. Like you could have like another row here. But I don't think I want to get things too cluttered up. We could even actually have one against this wall. Like, you don't have to have the right amount or a set amount of like desks and stuff in a certain room. Maybe this one can have more than some of the others. So we've now got like a whole set, and everybody can like see the teacher and can see the chalkboard like this, which is perfect. So now that we've done that, I want to place some decoration in this room. So I'm gonna need some weighted pressure plates, birch trapdoors, bookshelves, chests, lanterns, armor stand, tripwire hook, paintings, and we might need blue wool. I'll explain that in a bit. So on the teacher's desk, I figure there'll be a computer. It's usually a laptop, so we need a flipped up birch trap door. I'm going to stick a weighted pressure plate on the end there. I like the idea of bookshelves being at the back of the room here. They're probably going to be about the width of where the seating area is. Additionally, I like the idea of, again, books as well. So coming from the window, probably coming to the where the middle or where the first set of desks are. I think that we'll just have a load of bookshelves like this. Again, it's kind of like an English class, kind of like something like that, kind of like a general purpose sort of room. We can have a couple of armor stands here with some maybe like chuck a couple of chests and some tripwire hooks, just as kind of like so you can store jackets and stuff. We can even place a couple of paintings in the room. I mean, you should expect there to be some sort of can I oh, perfect, that just places like that. That's great, excellent. So yeah, perfect. So you'd expect with it being kind of like an English class that you would have you know, some sort of paintings and stuff that are kind of like, and some posters for like what's being read and that sort of things around the room. Like, it's a very basic classroom, this is, ladies and gentlemen, very, very basic indeed. You can make more desks, you can make more desks if you want. You can add like a shelf like above where we have here, like you could stick perhaps like a lantern on it. You could add like more books, something like this, you know. You could add a couple of lights as well, like if you think that this classroom's a little bit too dark, you know, you can add a little bit of light to it. But it's just like a nice, normal, everyday sort of class. What I might recommend is replacing the floor with a coloured carpet. And when I say coloured carpet, I mean literally any carpet that you deem fit. You might like it better. So for instance, like I might refloor this room with blue carpet. And let me know, like, do you prefer this? You don't have to let me know, by the way. I don't know why I said that. But if you prefer it to be blue, then you might want to change the colour of the floor. And you can make it different in every room. We'll do it in one of the later rooms as well. So as you can see, I have re-carpeted the floor. And I think that by adding a colour, it really does make the classroom pop. So I've went for blue, but literally any color, black, white, grey, pink, whatever you want to use, I think it will really enhance the room. And that's the general purpose classroom complete, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite easy to make. It has to be, because it has to be repeatable. We're going to be using this probably a few more times at least throughout our entire school. And once you've done this, we can move on to the next classroom. So bear in mind, make sure that you know how to make this, because you're probably going to be using it a few more times. And if you want to make this again, of course, all you have to do is come back to this point in the video, because there's 14 empty classrooms all about this size. You're not going to want them all to be one particular classroom. You're going to want to pick one of the three that I'm showing you how to make, and that's the first one. That's number one. So I'm going to come next door here, and next door is going to be a little bit different. So this classroom is what I would call kind of like a science lab classroom. So that's exactly what we're going to be making in here, kind of like a sciencey, more themed science classroom. So here are all of the materials that we are going to need to make our science classroom. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those and enough of them before we continue on. So once you have all of your materials, ladies and gentlemen, we can get this thing started. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do, learning from that other room, is I'd recommend ripping the floor up. With the science lab, I'd highly recommend something like iron blocks for a floor. With the other rooms, I don't think it matters so much, and I guess it doesn't matter that much here what the floor looks like, but I think with the science room, it really does kind of like enhance the room a little bit here. Like, I think it does make it look quite a bit cooler if you do have like an iron block floor. It especially kind of just makes sense with the fact that, like, potentially dropping chemicals and stuff, like, you're probably going to want to have like you know, like quite a safe floor. So something like that I think does look a little bit better. So against these walls is going to be a couple of like experimentation areas, if you will. So moving diagonally from this like back left corner of the wall, and you're going to want to place a white concrete block with a cauldron next to it. Place a white concrete in front of the cauldron and a cauldron left of it. Leave a gap of 2, and moving forwards, you want to have the same sort of setup, but we're going to reverse it. We're going to have a cauldron, white concrete, cauldron in front, white concrete, something like that. I'm going to stick brewing stands on opposite points of the white concretes, and I'm going to place levers. So they're kind of like Bunsen burners, and they're kind of like, you know, where you dump the experimentations right there. I'm going to have desks next to this area, so I'm going to have like leave a gap of 1, and I'm just going to have desks in the form of a just like a stool of like a stair. I'm going to have fence in front, and I'm just going to chuck like oak pressure plates in front like this, so just like that. And we're also going to now grab we're going to keep our spruce wood slabs, but we're going to grab black concrete, item frames, paintings, quartz slab, quartz stairs, apples, stone pressure plate, and buttons. And we're going to have like a chalkboard again, so this is just going to be 2 rows of black concrete here in between the windows. The spruce wood slabs are to go below and above the black concretes like this. We're going to have a teacher's desk just coming out from the wall, so if you stick, say, might even use like a regular as well, like a spruce wood stair. So like if we stick, say, like a spruce wood stair here, just 1 block away from the wall, something like that. And then we can have like a few spruce wood a few quartz slabs moving out from the wall, maybe about 3. You could even use, by the way, an upside down quartz stair on the end if you wanted to make a different kind of desk. But then we're going to have the same sort of like, we'll have like the quartz stair, item frame in it, apple, stone pressure plate, button, just like this, something like that. That's perfect. And this is kind of like how the room starts sizing up. It looks pretty good like this. You can stick some like item frames on the walls like this. We can kind of like maybe we can have it this way, like have torches here and here, something like that. Or maybe we could even have like there we go, maybe like a shelf, and we can stick like sea lanterns, and we could have like we're going to use to store chemicals in and stuff. It's just kind of like a way to change the scenery a bit. We're going to use shulker boxes, so you could have like a lantern with some shulker boxes. You can have like shulker boxes against the wall like this as well if you like. And we can put potions and stuff in here. We're going to use all different ones though, so that's why I've not grabbed a load. You could even place like a couple of shulker boxes like against that wall too if you wanted to. Along this wall, just like directly to the right of us, I like the idea of just having bookshelves again. Like just the idea of like books everywhere, like just something like this. Like it just feels kind of like sciencey. And maybe some more like light grey concrete, or some more shulker boxes rather, and maybe like a couple of item frames here, just like this. You could even have like a couple of posters, like a mishmash of posters. You know how like you'd have like the periodic table on the wall and stuff. Like it might make sense to have like kind of like just, you know, little something like this, kind of about the place. You know, just to, I don't know, you know, something like that, just stuff on the wall. That's what we had in a load of ours anyway, like, you know, easy things so that you can memorize the periodic table and all of that. You could even add another row of desks in here, but I actually think it's quite cramped already. And all I'm going to do from this point is, and you will have seen in the item list, we're just going to need a load of different potions. So I can never find these. Where a potion, there we go, perfect. So I'd recommend like a load of different colors. So like we've got blue, green, orange, you know, we've got all sorts of different colors of potions, and we can just kind of like fill the item frames in, and it will just make the area look a little bit more interesting. Feel free to put more up, feel free to add more item frames in there. You know, it's the more you add, the better it'll look. But I just think it is kind of like quite a cozy, cool little science related classroom like this. I really like it. It kind of makes me think of you know, kind of some of the classrooms that they used to put us in as well. Like it's not so far different from this one, to be honest. But there weren't chemicals on the wall. That's the only difference. That, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of like the more science-related classroom. Once you've got that sorted out, we can flip over and we can work on our third and final classroom. And of course, like, bear this classroom in mind, whether or not you have to come back to this part of the tutorial or not. That's two of the 3 classrooms that we're going to be repeating throughout the entire school. So this third and final classroom right here is kind of like a computer classroom. Like, I don't know how it is nowadays, but there didn't used to be computers absolutely everywhere in classrooms. So you actually you had to go to like a computer lab. Occasionally, like, laptops would come to the classroom and stuff, and you could mess about with them. But for the most part, you had to actually go to like a computer room. So that's kind of what we're setting up now. It's a bit more of like a more modern sort of classroom, or maybe like a computer lab or something like that. And it requires all of these materials that you can now see on the screen right now. Please do make sure that you have access to all of these materials, and enough of them as well. Once you have gotten all of those materials, we can get started. And for the last time, feel free, if you have to, pause if necessary. The first thing that I want to do here is I want to rip up the floor. I'm quickly realizing that the school will be a lot more colourful, a lot more interesting if every classroom is just a little bit more colourful, a little bit different. On this occasion, I'm using red wool to act as carpet. That's because red is my favorite color. You can use any. On some of the other previous classrooms that you haven't seen in this video, I've used yellow, I've used green, like any color really will do. It's just, as long as it's just a little bit different, it gives quite a bit of separation between the hallway and stuff. Like it just makes it pop a little bit better. It is far more interesting to look at, and it'll make all the desks and stuff look cool too. On this occasion, I'd also recommend filling in the ceiling as well with quartz slab. Now, there is a reason for this, because we're going to be putting a projector in the room, which uses an observer. And I want the observer to be half covered because I think it looks better. So I would recommend adding quartz slabs to the ceiling. Just a personal design choice. So now that we've got a floor, now that we've got a ceiling, I'm going to turn my attention to the back of the room. On the back of the room, we're going to have 3 rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves are going to come up as high as where the quartz slabs are. You won't be able to place them when it comes to a certain point. I want to have a double wide screen using iron blocks. So this is going to be kind of like a projector screen or an interactive whiteboard. It's going to have smooth stone slabs at the bottom, and additionally it'll have smooth stone slabs at the top. But you're just going to have to knock in and replace like this. I want to have a desk in front of this area, so that's going to require a quartz stairs and then just a set of light grey concrete in front. It's going to be 4 blocks wide. Leaving a gap of 1, I'm going to have a desk left and right, and it's going to be a row of 3 light grey concretes like this. So the teacher sits at the front, we have the students to the sides. We're going to have quartz stairs in the middle of the desks like this. Additionally, we want to have desks along this back wall area as well. So we're actually not going to be able to sit at these desks, but they're going to be like right here. And we might even have to just shuffle the doorway up a little bit. But basically we're going to have like a desk here, and it's going to be made in the same way, like 3 light grey concrete, 3 light grey concrete, just like this. That's looking pretty good. And then we'll be able to like walk up and in between all of the desks and such. On the desks, they're all going to have the same, even the teacher. It's going to be a quartz stair, kind of like right in the middle-ish of the desk, like this. It's going to have an item frame, it's going to have an apple. You guys know, it just looks like a Mac. Well, or at least, you know, as close-ish as we can kind of get to it anyway. So we're going to place all of these here. And we will have to rearrange that door, but that's perfectly fine. So once you've placed all of those things, we can then grab the weighted pressure plates, buttons, observer, and maybe even paintings. And on every desk, we're going to want to place like a keyboard and a mouse in the form of like a weighted pressure plate and a button. It's a decoration we've used many, many times today. And I don't see that stopping, so just like that. You can even add like, say, like chuck a lantern on the teacher's desk for light, and then you'll actually have a decent amount of light as well. In the ceiling, somewhere between the desks, in the middle, you're going to want to have an observer, and that just looks like a projector. And then along this back wall, I mean, you can add like, again, like a mishmash of paintings if you like. You don't have to. You're more than welcome to add... I say that too often, don't I? But you are more than welcome, you said it again, to just kind of like create a collage or just something you think looks good. And that looks all great. And in some classrooms, you might just have to move the door kind of like this, right? I mean, it's no big deal. We can just take all of these and we can just shuffle the doorway just up one block. So, just like here, it doesn't really matter too much. Or you can just move the actual, like, there we go, that's fine. And then we can have that. Then we just steal one of those signs. That's perfect. You know, it's no big deal just to have like the door here instead of there. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. I mean, I know that you can tell, but you know, you don't have to. It doesn't matter too much. But that'll be the room complete. You're gonna have to probably move things around for other classrooms as well when you start making these in other parts of the school. But ladies and gentlemen, like, that's the last classroom. That's the 3 out of 3 classrooms. Now, obviously, you can make different kinds of classrooms for yourself. You could make, like, an art classroom. You could make all sorts of different classrooms. But I think that with these 3 classrooms, you are able to kind of, like, get a nice mix. And there's about 14 empty rooms, so you'll have to repeat those about 3 or 4 times. I don't think that that's too bad to have, like, just 3 of 3. And, you know, that's that side complete. We'll have 3 classrooms on that side, and also we'll have some up above as well. So that's kind of everything, guys. That's like the entire school complete. Woo! That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have completed every specialty room. We've completed each one of the repeatable classrooms. That's it. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please do remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and click the little bell next to the subscription button. That will make sure that you get all of my videos sent directly to your sub box. Because not only are we going to be making a school bus on the channel that we can sit outside of a school, but I'm also considering making like a school gym to add to the back of the school as well. So you're going to want to keep up to date if you enjoy these builds. If you are new to the channel and you do want to make anything else by me, I'd highly recommend checking out the card system, the description below, for the city builds playlist, probably even at the top of the comment section too. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you do want to make anything else by me, you know where to go. If you want to keep up to date with me, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. I love you all very, very much. Goodbye.